So I'm really excited to be here today with Triple Boris, specifically with Sophie, Michelle, and Alexandra from Triple Boris. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Could you start off and tell us a little bit about Triple Boris before we dive into all of the nitty-gritty details today?
Triple Boris at first is more service-driven. So it was really focusing on outsourcing B2B and all that jazz. In the video game industry, everyone is working contractually. We're doing a game, you have a contract. So that was something that was really important for our CEO, that we were stable. Every single employee at Triple Boris is stable hourly. It's not contractually, because it's the company that has the contract. Then when we were stable enough with enough income, we could develop TOYO, which is like our IP branch. Hack and Stack is actually developed by the branch of Triple Boris. And it's with that knowledge that we use Helix to be like our coordination program. Because all the knowledge we got from working services, we understood the importance of having good workflows and how to really coordinate every single team within a project in the same program. And Helix in general was a really good thing for that. And that's why TOYO, as a new branch of Triple Boris, is using Helix Core for Hack and Stack. That is our biggest project yet. It's the most ambitious one.
So is that with the same team, like the same developers and artists, or is it kind of like a whole separate group, or how does that work?
It's basically, we are nearly 50 people as a whole for Triple Boris. But TOYO is a tiny team within. So it's curated cast of Triple Boris employee that are working on this IP that is Hack and Stack. But overall, the rest of the company is still doing outsourcing, because it's not only just AAA games. It can be even government, or we're working with some organization of just, can you gamify that idea? And like the outsourcing would be the whole game from their idea.
I feel like we could have a whole other conversation about this world we live in now, where so many things are gamified. Trainings for various government agencies in VR, or about public safety, or any number of things that are getting gamified and made more interactive like that. But I'm going to try to keep us focused on what we're here to talk about. So to go to what you were talking about, where you have this 50-person team doing outsourcing projects for other studios and companies, and then you've also got your smaller team within working on your own IP. And you were saying that all of that together is being managed in Helix Plan, formerly known as Handsoft.
Exactly. And that's, I would say, the big part that Michelle is so good at, is that she has all the projects in them. There's teams, because even for Hack and Stack, there's not just the Hack and Stack team. No, there's the artists, there's the programmers, there's the marketing team. We're a team within a team, within a project, within all the project that she manages.
And Extend is really nice for that, because I can see all my projects. I can manage all my reports for one project, because each project is so different. The scope is so different. So I really need to check every single project in one bubble, if you want. And after that, I need to do a step back. All the projects. And after that, another step back, I need to check for Boris. And all these people, each member is in one team. But if I start somebody, I really a problem with time or anything. Today is really kind for him. So I can just, hey, can you have this project? So this is really allow me to see all my projects in quick time. It's awesome for that.
Yeah. Using the agile method is really easy into Helix in general, because it gives Michelle an overview of the company as a whole. She can break down with graphs and everything. So it's also easier for her to talk to every single employee when she has to shift around, because she can visualize for her, but also for the employee. She can see with that graphic, you have time, so I can shift you there. It helps her visualize, but also it helps the whole company to visualize how it works. And it helps bring down some friction. I think.
Yeah. Back when I worked in VFX, that was a constant problem where within our studio, it was around 100 people or so. That thing of you've got different people on different projects, but, a deadline's coming up, or, this thing ended up taking more time than we expected. We've got to shuffle people around. And we didn't have a good way to do it. We didn't have that nice, clean way of seeing everything. And so it ended up being like so many meetings with all the different producers for each project needing to be like, wait, but I need this person, and no, I have this deadline. And I wish that we had something like Helix Plan at the time. It would have helped a lot.
And as an employee, I don't even have to have a red flag and say, hey, my hours are like, it's red. It's right there, red. Yeah. Michelle already knows there's something, she has to do something about it. It's there. And it's easier to just go to someone, see like you're under your hours and see selfies like in red and do something about it.
Yeah, and the advantage to use Helix for me, I need to talk with the CEO. I need to talk a different person, and I need to talk at my team. With this kind of report and the big view, I can easily talk at my team and say, hey, look, we need to do a little bit more faster. Oh, hey, look at the CEO, the project. It's really good. So this is really easier for me to talk at the both way that I need to talk. It's really easier for me because I don't need to do the job twice. I need to do the job for the direction, and I need to do the job for the member team. No, this is the same job, just explaining differently a little bit. Normally, I do one for the entire project, and after that for one sprint. So I do that for all my projects on the same page, like that, and I can have every single project. It's really easy for me to see what's happened and if the objective is on the schedules. That's really early. And this planning, this is during a sprint, and I can actually see there, I can schedule when people is sick or have personal appointment. So it's really easy like that. So you can easily do a schedule for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. You can really see easily every single project.
Something that is really interesting is that sometimes some indie companies, they'll start a project with most of jack of all trades. So there's 4 people and they'll do everything. It's easy that way to just organize your time because you're talking to 4 jack of all trades that can do anything. Since we're working in a professional way with professionals that are really experienced in their specialty, like Hack & Stack as a game is really game design oriented. The game designer can be on her side doing her thing. She has a lot of work because it's a physics game. She's really creative and she's doing all our levels, and it's really a lot of work, but she's not touching anything else. It's the same thing for marketing. They'll be there trying to do some really creative stuff, but we can be in our bubble and not talking to anyone. We have amazing 2D artists, 3D artists that are working on, like, someone can work on some promo stuff that will be a really amazing 2D design. And then on the other end, there will be the 3D artist doing turrets for hours. If we were working like usually indies do, just doing our thing, we wouldn't talk to each other and we would not know how much work was done. And it would be to the detriment of the game. As marketing lead, I can go to the artists and, hey, do you know that kind of thing is really good marketing? You can implement that into the promo art. You can implement that into the game design. If I see design-wise, we're actually working on something and we're having questions about something, I can say, hey, I predict that in 5 months, that would be the thing that will be pertinent. And having something like Helix helps us to see the work of everyone else and not stay in our bubble. We can do our work, and she has the work to organize everything, and the program helps her, so we can just be artists doing our stuff. It can be seen as something boring, but it helps to be creative. It helps us to be better at games, to make Hack & Stack. I know, you make it seem like an art, Michelle, but For me, it's boring.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so hard.
This happens in film as well as games and programming, where you get these people where everyone's job to everyone else seems boring. Like a programmer's job to a lot of other people seems really boring, or like a project manager's job seems really boring, or a finance person's job seems really boring, but you get the people that it's not boring for, and that's what makes it so cool. This is a perfect segue into talking a little bit about how the artists work as well as how the developers work using Perforce Helix Core for managing their versions and all of that.
I can talk for the artists first. I'll be looking a bit at what they told me. They usually work in Perforce, and it helps them having something that is always updated. Using the platform to keep the latest updated version with revisions is really nice for them. They work mostly in UI. It's like there's more of a waterfall way of work because someone has to do something for someone to do something else. It's something like our 2D artist just has to do like an art. Maybe there will be some review of it, but it's just okay, just shelve it. And it's more accessible for them. And I know personally that not having Perforce is way less productive for me when I'm trying to work with the artists. The artists are so much more productive in the way they can retrieve stuff into Perforce than me trying to get things out of Perforce into other things. It helps them really, they're more organized through Perforce.
For the 2D and 3D art, what are they working in primarily?
I know they're using 3D Max. For the 2D artists, they use Harmony for animations, but they also use Photoshop and the Adobe suite overall. I know they prefer to use Perforce than like the Adobe Cloud in general, because it's easier for them to just have all the work centered in a place. It's easier for them than even using like the native Adobe Cloud into the applications.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said for a system where you actually submit things into it instead of like Google Drive or Dropbox or Adobe Cloud where it just happens and you're like, wait, I didn't want you to look at that one.
Yeah.
There's kind of more of a sense of like, I submitted this because it's ready, not just because I hit save.
Yeah, and it's easier also as per the marketing team. I can ask for a different version. On the 2D side, all they work is usually they'll do a rough that's going to be reviewed. And then, yes, you can do the color and the rendering. But it's fun to see the rough sketch first and post it on social media and everything. But if it was on SharePoint or even like Cloud, it would be so hard to find that. But now, since it was submitted once for review, it's so easy for them. I just ask them, hey, do you have that concept art you sent them before doing the final version? So I can do like a side-by-side. Yeah, I do. Because they submitted it. They remember the moment they submitted it. So it's way easier for them to get it to me because it's so easy to find.
So now let's pivot to the programming and development side. So Alex, tell us, how does what Sophie just described compare with how you work on the development side using Helix Core Perforce version control?
The experience is pretty much the same, actually. We're really happy to work with the Perforce because everything is really easy just to handle the version control and everything. For example, I never used Perforce before I joined Triple Boris last year. And actually, the learning curve was really easy. So that's really great. One thing that compared to other version control is that it can handle a large file without any issue. So that's something like we don't have to worry about stuff like that. Like we have the file, we submit and everything goes through and everyone has it. And even the change lists, the way we can handle them and just like revert, everything is straightforward and pretty much easy. Just the feature for the shelves is like really useful for sharing codes. Sometimes like with one of my colleague programmers who work on the same feature, but not exactly the same file. And we don't want to submit it because it was far from them, but then we can just shelve and compare and work on this and then unshelve on one side, reshelve and stuff like that. So that's something that I really love about Perforce.
Could you explain for someone who hasn't used Perforce before what you mean about the shelving? Because I think that is a different concept than people are used to anywhere else. And both Sophie has mentioned it and you've mentioned it.
For example, I'm working on some files and we're working on some feature, but they're not done, or I need to work on another feature and stuff like that. Actually, I can shelve it on my side and just work on another feature and shelve it later. But what is really cool is I can shelve it, and someone else on the project, I can actually go fetch that change list and unshelve it on his side. So even if I did not submit it on the project, someone else can still fetch my change and continue working on them. That's how we're using it.
I think just that concept of that it's not just stashing it locally for later, but
exactly.
that your shelve is available to other people as well. So it can be used for sharing things without submitting.
Yeah,
them.
and it's really good when someone is sick because can work on it, shelve it. But if you're sick, someone can retrieve it knowing it's a work in progress, and it helps to be more productive.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. And I would imagine, especially since it seems like, are all of you working from home?
Yes and no, we are hybrid, but we are a small team and we don't have 1 week without any sickness. I can see, okay, it's working, but this is my priority, is there, is not there. So I'm managing everybody and leave my team to take care of yourself. This is really important because if everybody share the information, the team has so much trust that, okay, I can take that and I can help my friend and I can help the project. So this is really amazing for us and for me because this is less stressful for me that, okay, I don't need to search the information that we really need to treat right now.
So currently, for example, we have different change lists right here that's actually not set up because some of them are just work in progress, or we had some intern recently that their internship ended. So there are some feature that is not done but was sent and stuff like that. So I'll have a look a little bit later to see if I can integrate everything into the project and stuff like that.
For your workspaces, when you're working on this, do you do more of a workflow where you have things set to all right and then you reconcile and then submit? Or are you using the Unity integration so that it'll check stuff out as you edit them?
The first solution, actually. We leave everything on right. And
then you'll do reconcile offline work and then submit that way?
Exactly. We use reconcile offline work because sometimes Unity is tricky across some other device on the OS with just some meta files. So we found out that it worked better for us to do a reconcile offline work to find every day. Which is actually pretty great because sometimes we just realize that something was changed and we don't want to submit that.
And how does the workflow work where you're getting art from the 2D or 3D artists into the Unity project?
The artist actually has access to the same project actually, and they just if you look at their history, you can see that. So Chiri is one of our artists and she just directly submit their art directly in the project. So we're working all on the same page and I know where, for example, in this folder art. So that's when we can see most of their submit or send. But we can find everything. And so when our artist just send something, she can ping me or I can ping her if I modify something. For example, we needed one scene for testing the art. Just quickly I did it, submit it, and on their side, she just get like this and she can add the art to the scene. And then she just submit it on their side and I can test it on my side. Every submit that we do, we have to review it with another programmer or another artist, just to make sure that everything, a second view, say, oh, okay, you're sending this, but I've forgotten about that. We're just making sure that everything is okay on that side. And then we just submit it when everything is good. When we are adding art into the game, there's always one step to test actually to the game to make sure that, the art was added, but this is impact the performance and stuff like that, because we need to make sure for some of the platform that we're working, we're actually pretty limited. So there's always some step that come after.
I think it goes back to the idea that it helps us work more as teams and less as little teams that only we do our stuff, we review our own thing and we just throw it to the other side and we don't care about what's happening on the other side because there's more communication with the way the system works. It helps us be more aware that we work together, and it helps because the artist is not always knocking at doors with meetings. Hey, this is not working. This is not working. And the other way around, they can communicate easier in a way because they have a system that force them to work together in a way.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about Hack and Stack?
Hack and stack. Easy. Crafting, building, hacking, stacking. It's basically in the name. It's mostly a party game. So really fun, cartoony characters, all animals, biped animals that are in a style that is really cartoony, and there's an atmosphere in it. So that's something that from what we've gathered yet is that the atmosphere of the game is different from what you expect from a party game. Because usually in a party game, it's all aesthetic and no substance. And now there's an aesthetic and there's not really a storyline, but you feel like there's a story. It feels more like those characters are something else than just there for fun. But the system is fun, the physics are fun, and it's the round of the game is there's weights. So you start in the crafting building phase. So you're with your friends, up to 4 players. And at first you gather and then you can craft walls or you can craft turrets or other magical stuff in provision of the fact that there's going to be a wave of enemies. In the story, in the kingdom of Faunus, where the game is set, the scientists open a breach. In the sky, there's some enemies that came down and they're trying to destroy everything. So that same scientist developed a light core that can help to dissolve those enemies. But you have to protect it. So it's really tower defense-y. So you start, there's at first 1 and eventually more light core that you have to protect, and you gather stuff, you build stuff to protect the turrets, walls, and everything. And then there's a wave. Enemies are coming, but it's not like just you sit there through what you build. You can fight them. You can use even like the crafting material. You haven't had any time to build something. You can grab it with physics and just smash like the enemy around with it. You can use your partner as a weapon. You can grab your partner and yank your partner at the enemies. Every single possibilities is a good possibility in chaos.
Yeah.
The only thing that matters is that light core stays alive. So you can be really strategic. My boyfriend was all about turrets and he wouldn't even help me in the enemy waves. And I was fighting my butt off while he was crafting turrets. So it's all about like that chaotic energy, but there's a lot of atmosphere. There's really beautiful characters and biomes, and eventually those biomes will affect the gameplay. So you'll start a stage somewhere and it will feel totally different from before. And it's all about creativity and having fun. So it's creative, fun, chaotic, and it's meant to bring people together online and offline, because you can play online eventually when it's going to be programmed. Sorry, Alex. But you can also play split screens on your couch. And that's
I
something...
love that it has an actual split screen co-op. That's such a rare thing to find now. And it's like, whenever you're together with friends, or even just with one other person, there's always that, it'd be nice to play something together. We'll be looking through the Steam store or the Nintendo Switch store or whatever, and we're just trying to see what actually is co-op. And there's not a ton of choices.
Nope.
And so that's awesome to see that there's another fun thing that's not just the total random lottery of Mario Party.
Yeah, exactly. And there's skill, but it's also easy to be carried. So that's something that is really fun. You can be a party of really good players that will be really strategic and trying to do their best. And everybody will have fun through that really minutia of being good at it. But you can have really 3 good players and then someone that is really bad at it and will just be crafting like on the side, and it will still be fun for them because that person will be carried by everyone in a way that is fun. So like it helps like that gap sometimes in parties when there's gamers and non-gamers. It helps to bridge that little gap.
That's a really great thing to find, because I know that if I'm playing with my niece and nephew, sometimes there's that challenge where they're not totally not gamers, but they're also not as strategic about it yet. We're training them. We're working on them.
Yeah, but it helps the way the game is designed. There's not really so much frustration because it's like more of a team versus us versus them dynamic. So if you're really good, you can carry a whole thing by yourself. But also, it's a challenge, so it's still fun for you. But like, that person can have a lot of fun just crafting on the side. I remember when they showed me the game for the first time, I was with the game designer. She knows how to play the game. She designed it. And I was there, and she was just showing me really quickly because she wasn't having a lot of time to show me. She passed through the tutorial really quickly because she knew I was a gamer. So she was like, yeah, you just press that and that.
You'll get it,
and like, and you'll get it. At first, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna build my stuff on this side because I don't really know what I'm doing. But it was still fun, even if she was doing everything else, because I couldn't remember, like, I'm just gonna press that button and have fun crafting my little stuff on the side while she's fighting. But it's still fun. And that's the most of it, is that most of our game has that pedigree of we want to bring people together. I design. Just the fact you can take your partner and use that partner to smash around. You can just visualize brother and sisters doing this on the couch. And in every single game we plan on doing, to the core, we want to bring people together by the narrative or by the gameplay. We want to touch people. And I think Hack and Stack has that way of bringing people together physically or more metaphorically, because if you have friends that are overseas, you can kind of feel them through the gameplay, because even if one of them is far away, there's still a part of them there.
I love that. And like I said, I'm always looking for good couch co-op to play, as well as I have a group of friends that we all used to work together and now we all live in different cities. So we'll play online together. So that's awesome that we could do both of those. Thank you all so much for joining me today and for sharing with us your workflows and how you're using these tools. For anyone out there watching, are you hiring right now? If some game devs are like, ooh, I want to work on that.
I don't know. Even if we're not currently are hiring, sending curriculum is never bad, because like we can remember someone that is really good. So
awesome. Very cool. Thank you all again so much. This has been so fun and really insightful. I really appreciate getting to understand how that workflow actually works, and the fact that your studio has the advantage of getting to learn from all this experience working for other studios first, I think is such a huge advantage that you have coming into this, where you're not just starting with a small team of generalists who don't know how to organize, but you've had that practice first, is a really powerful thing. And I think that shows in the progress that you're making and the pace that you've kept creating this game has been really cool to see.
Thank you for your time, and we keep you in touch for the release.